who we ride with, man. We said it. We all we got. We all we need. But know where we at. But at the end of the day, man, we got bigger goals.
All right, here we go. It is Sports Talk with Gary. I'm Nick, and of course, because it's Sports Talk with Gary, we are here with our ESPN insider, Gary, the Wildcard Kravitz. Gary, I missed you guys last week. Did you miss me?
Yeah, Nick,
Okay.
I can speak for myself. I can't speak for everybody else amongst the crew, but I certainly did. I certainly missed you, and hopefully you had a good time out there in Vegas. It's good to see you back.
If I can be completely honest about something, I was back from Vegas Sunday, like late afternoon, and I know you guys were recording kind of later Sunday. I was in no condition to talk to anybody. I was just like, it probably would have been good for the podcast if I was on and just feeling horrible. So what happened is I did a 3-day stint in Las Vegas with my brothers and my dad, not the one that left us 30 years ago, my stepdad, Ron, but I just sometimes call him dad. So two of my stepbrothers and my brother Kyle of Kick Out of Two fame, or infamy. I'm not sure which, but we all go to Vegas. And normally when I go to Vegas, Gary, you saw this. I'm out and about. I'm going different places.
Yes,
I'm walking around town. A lot of people
You are
watching.
working the crowd. You're working the crowd.
Right. But moving around. What I got from my brothers and my dad was stay in one casino and go hard all day and all night for 3 days. So
Yeah.
we got there Thursday. Thursday, we hit the ground running, which is typical for Vegas. Friday, up, moving about, doing our thing. My brother was in a slot machine invitation-only tournament. It was really neat to see. Because I was there with my stepbrother, Ryan, I didn't pay for anything out there. I didn't pay for a meal. I didn't pay for a drink. I didn't pay for the hotel room. Nothing. I paid for McDonald's on Saturday morning. And McDonald's Saturday morning is where I found out what my family does out there, at least these guys, is Kyle got there Friday, and he texts me on Saturday morning like, hey, are you awake? What are you doing? And I said, well, just sitting around here. Do you want to get out of the room and do something? And so we were like, let's just walk to McDonald's, get a cup of coffee, like not comp the room again. Like after a while, you do feel like I can't just take advantage of everything. Like, let me just go be an adult man and go buy myself a cup of coffee. Well, Kyle wasn't aware that we were in the Palazzo, which is this beautiful hotel tower in Las Vegas. It is not where we stayed, Gary. It is not. I don't even know where we stayed. Are we at the Imperial Palace?
I have no clue.
Oh, man.
I have no clue.
That's what we need Brian for. Brian will remember.
I stayed somewhere.
It was, so we stayed like, it's not far from where we stayed. It might have been Harrah's that we stayed at. So McDonald's is right between Harrah's and this place called Casino Royale. Casino Royale is not big. So it's Venetian, Casino Royale, Harrah's, and McDonald's. It's right there. It's like if it took us 10 minutes to walk there, slow and hungover, it didn't take that long. Kyle was dying. He's like, why are we walking so far? I don't understand. What is all this stuff? And I'm like, Kyle, have you not been outside in Las Vegas? Like, what happens to you when you get here? And he said, yeah, I just show up, I get a cab to the hotel that I'm staying at, and that's where I am for the trip. I'm out here going like doing dune buggies in the desert, going to the gun range out there, or just walking around to the different casinos. Like they stay in one spot. So it was a lot. So I woke up Sunday morning at 2 a.m. Vegas time, which is kind of when I wake up here, like including the time difference. Got showered, dressed, packed, went to the airport, got through security, no problem. A little bit of a line, but really, as far as airports go, it was super smooth. And then I flew into Chicago Midway for a layover. I flew Southwest. I wish Brian was here because it was maybe the best flight I've ever been on. I mean, besides like international, like the plane was nice. There was extra leg room. A few too many people talking to me and stuff, but we got to Midway. I felt great. Like finally a day, no drinking. I can just drink water. maybe a diet soda if I'm feeling, frisky, and just move on with my life and let my body recover. I got on the next flight to Philly. Again, no problem, no delays, beautiful plane, nice and clean. The people were fine. Nobody talked to me. And I landed in Philadelphia, instantly sick. Can't hear, ears are clogged, nose is running, coughing, sneezing. As soon as I landed in Philadelphia, I was instantly sick. So I got home and I was like, I could jump on with these guys. And there were several parts of me like, yes, this is your baby. This is like you're kind of hanging some of your hopes on this thing to succeed. Get on. But then the other parts of me were like, you feel like garbage and you are going to be a monster. And then the third part was like, let's see what they do.
Yeah, well, I'll
Let's
just
see how
say
they-
this, Nick. Nick, I'll say this. I thought we had a good draft show, but I'll tell you who's not sick. Flyer fans are not sick.
We're not sick. We are not.
Flyer fans are fired up, Nick. And I know you're a hockey fan, you're a Flyers fan. And I want to know, when I think of the Flyers, I think of those days with Lindros, and I think of them going to the finals and playing the Red Wings, and they had a
Yep.
couple other trips here and there. But for me, as the casual hockey fan, if you will, or the casual fan, how much do you believe in this Flyers team right now? What are you thinking? And should I put some money in Vegas on the Flyers? Because from what I heard the coach speak yesterday, and man, this sounds like a really fun group.
Yeah. So that's a deep. Those are deep questions, and they all have different answers. Should you go to Vegas, put money on the Flyers? No, you shouldn't. Is this team as good as the Lindros team that you remember? No, this is arguably better because I remember where I was when we went and got Eric Lindros. I remember my family losing their minds over getting him. And I was a low teenager. I was maybe 12 or 13. Like I wasn't an adult and I wasn't old enough to drink and celebrate it, but they were.
Yeah.
But as soon as you got Lindros, you really expected championships. You just did. And not one. You expected multiple. This team is different in that they're out there putting on a show. Now, they spent the whole season living in tight games. You win some, lose some. Before the Olympic break, it was a bad look. After the Olympic break, it got way better. And then to make the playoffs with this young upstart team, I think I told Brian, like, this is the type of team that, like hockey especially, is the type of sport that can actually make a run with the young underdog team. Like, I think it might be the only sport. So
Right.
you've got a couple veteran players on there, but you have a lot of youth and a lot of excitement around this team, and it is warranted. Where you should not invest money in betting on the Flyers, you should absolutely invest your emotions and your excitement in this team. If you asked me before the Penguin series, what do you think is going to happen? I was going to say, like on the show here, I told Brian, the Flyers in 5, no problem. Yep, going to happen. I was not that confident in real life. I thought like being in the playoffs from where they were before the Olympic break is already a win for this crew. So if they got swept by the Penguins, I'm still happy with the season as a whole.
Sure.
Now,
Sure. And go ahead.
now with a win over a very cagey, veteran-led Penguins team that has played together for a long time, that has been it's our biggest rival. To have that win in 6 games is astounding to me and really changes my thoughts on what this team can do. Now they're going next against the Carolina Hurricanes. The Carolina Hurricanes are a better team than the Pittsburgh Penguins, but the last time they played the Flyers won in a shootout in overtime, which was kind of getting the Flyers to the top of that hill they were on to then go to the playoffs. So that win was pretty important. This series will be really important, and this town is here for it. It is going to be wild. The win 2 nights ago, where they go to the cameras, the I don't know what you call it, not the hard camera, but damn it, Brian, why aren't you here? But just the handheld cameras that
Yeah.
these guys have in production that are shaking because the whole building's shaking. Then you go to the
Yes.
hard camera and the hard camera's shaking. That's the type
Yep.
of win that means this town is excited. Now, if you don't mind, I want to back up a little bit. In this Penguin series, game 2, which was last Wednesday night,
Mhm.
Kelly was out of town. So I went out to a local bar with retired OR nurse Tom from my school bus, and we watched the hockey game there. I don't know if you
Mhm.
watched any of that game, Gary. It was the greatest hockey game I have ever watched in my entire life. I know where I was when they got Eric Lindros. I know where I was when they beat the Penguins in the playoffs in the spring of 2000. I'll always remember where I was when there was 11 players in 2 penalty boxes. 11. If
Mhm.
they had one more, that would have been everybody on the ice besides the refs. I have never seen anything like it. You'll never see anything like it again. That was the greatest hockey game I've ever watched in my entire life. And the fact that they then won the series, I mean, I think anything can happen, Gar. Am I on the we're winning the Stanley Cup train? No. Am I on the, yeah, tell them we have a 3% chance of winning the cup? You go ahead and do that. I'm here for it. I am here for this ride. I cannot wait until the first game against Carolina because now these kids know what it is to win a playoff
Yep.
series, and they are going to punish Carolina Hurricanes. And I cannot wait.
So there's two things about this team, and again, I'm just very, very casual hockey fan, but two things about this team that I'm really excited about. I heard the coach speak yesterday. He was on the Pat McAfee show, and well, actually, three things. Um, these players and this coach believe in one another. I think they love playing for this coach. Tocchet is a former Flyer. He also won the Stanley Cup championships with the Penguins, and he talked about just how much he appreciated and the players appreciated. Like you said, Nick. I mean, that place was rocking. That whole playoff series when they played in Philadelphia, that place was rocking. And the thing I like about this team, from what I'm getting at, is sometimes, like you said, they got some veterans, but they also have a ton of youth. There's a ton of youth on that team. And so it's almost like, to use that Vegas term, right, Nick? Like they're playing with house money, right? Like they they're not supposed to win the cup. They
Right.
weren't, they weren't the odds-on favorite to win the. So they're playing with house money, and these young kids, like they don't know any better, so they're just going out having fun and playing. And then the other thing that I kind of like is, and you saw it, I think, in the game that where they closed out the Pens, the goalie was out. Correct me if I'm wrong. The Flyers goalie, he was outstanding.
Do you hear
He
his
was
nickname?
outstanding. And
You hear the guy's
with
nickname, the
again,
goalie?
what's the nickname?
So his name's Vladar, right?
Yes.
His nickname is Darth Vladar instead of Darth Vader.
Yes. Okay.
I
Okay.
have the lock screen on my phone is Vladar as Darth Vader, but in his Flyers gear with pucks just
Yes.
kind of suspended in the air all around him. The guy was standing on his head the entire
Yeah.
time. Like
And
one of the goals
when
allowed
you
in the whole series was a freak accident. Hit him
right.
in the back of the leg, and then last 2 nights ago he headbutts a puck out of the goal. Like, shut
Yeah.
up, dude is impressive.
I mean, when you have much like, in baseball with pitching, with the pitcher, when you have a hot goalie, anything's possible. Not
Yeah,
saying they're gonna, not saying they're gonna win the cup, but when you have a hot goalie and young kids and a young team, anything's possible. And it kind of reminds me, Nick. It reminds me of that Eagles team that won the Super Bowl with Winston Foles. Um, Before that season started, at absolute best, I had that Eagles team winning the division, and that was it. And as the season went
for
on, they
shame,
got
Gary Kravitz.
yeah. Oh, wow. I just had them winning the division, but as the season went on, you got a sense of, wow, they're really good and they're
Yeah,
dominating teams. And we could be really watching something here. You know what I mean? And sometimes it's you just get hot at the right time, right? We saw it with the Eagles team that won the Super Bowl 2 years ago. They got once the playoffs started, they just got really, really hot. And I think that's what you're getting now with the Flyers. So, like, yeah, I'm gonna watch. I'm in, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, you made two really good points there. Hockey is the most momentum-driven sport. If you're winning, you're going to keep winning. And when your confidence is high, you do things that typically you wouldn't. So these kids are flying high. But you also mentioned the backup quarterback idea, right, with Wentz and Foles. So I agree and I disagree with that. I think mine's just a little different. Um, you know how sometimes a quarterback goes down and you put in the backup and he shines like for 2 games, right?
Right.
Because nobody knows what they're going to do with him.
Yeah.
You don't have any film.
Yep.
You don't know how to play them. That's this
Right.
hockey team. And the problem is with hockey, it takes a lot longer watching film to figure out how to play a particular team. So the Flyers luck out because the Penguins have been playing the same game now for 20 years. The
Yeah.
Flyers have not. The Flyers are a young group that can adapt. You know, Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, they're both tremendous players. I mean, I hate them, but they're tremendous players. And as you get older, it's a lot harder to change your game. Like as you see with like hitting in baseball. Like it's just so much harder to change your game the older you get because you just get stuck in your old dog new trick kind of attitude. And
Right.
it's tough to adapt. These young kids are going to adapt every single game, every shift. I'm I'm so excited. So no monetary investment, but absolute emotional investment. You should absolutely be watching this team because if they don't win, they are going to put up really fun, hard-hitting, exciting hockey games.
And I wanna say this going into this series now with Carolina. With 2 questions for you here. Number 1, where do you see the Flyers having an advantage where they can beat Carolina? And then what's the one thing about Carolina that concerns you the most?
Okay, so I don't follow Carolina enough. What I like about the Flyers is their momentum and their youth. Okay, obviously, right? Their momentum. Carolina should be here, right? That
Mhm.
was their expectation. The expectation was Carolina was going to be here at this point in the season, in the playoffs, probably a first round, first one win in the playoffs. They're a good team. My my I don't know that I have a lot of concerns with Carolina. I know that if I was Carolina, I'd be concerned because this Flyers team is exceeding expectations, and they really don't have anything to lose. Like, they're
Yeah.
all young guys. There's no guy on
Yep.
this team that's fighting for a legacy. There's nobody that's dying for a new contract. These guys are all just out there playing and really having a good time doing it. I mean, if you're winning, you have fun, but, um, I think concern should be on the part of the Carolina Hurricanes. They have the most recent loss. The Flyers won their last matchup. Now, Carolina beat us twice before in the season, 2 or 3 times, but earlier in the season, pre-Olympic break. And I think this team's just a different team now. And that's another part that's kind of scary. You thought you had this team pegged from, just having more experience, playing a little bit harder and a little bit faster. But these kids that they brought in, this Martone and Bump, these kids are
Yep.
flying around the ice. And just when you see a guy like Mishkov, like he turned it on for a little while and he's kind of gone cold again. And when you see that, you almost don't worry about it too much because you have these other young guys that are just stepping in and making hockey fun. So,
Right.
um, I I am cautiously optimistic with this series.
Right.
I think you have another 6-game series, but I am going with my heart, and I'm going with the Flyers.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. And you said momentum, and momentum is a beautiful thing, whether momentum is in sports or at the Vegas casino. And we'll talk about another team with momentum, and that's the Sixers. Because the Sixers are heading to a game 7 in Boston, and they've won the last 2 games. And now granted, they haven't beaten the Celtics since 1982. And I could talk to you about that 1982 Sixer team, Nick. I love that 1982 team. And then in '83, they finally won the NBA title.
Yeah.
Um, you got a Sixer team right now. Again, Game 7. Anything can happen in Boston. We've seen heartbreak years ago in Game 7 in Toronto. Um, I remember jubilation 2001 when they went to the finals and they won a couple game sevens. But game seven heading to Boston, this is a Sixers team right now that they got to be feeling pretty good. And I almost feel that we'll see one game, but the last two games, Nick, they really haven't had. Boston has not had an answer for Embiid.
No, they haven't. And Embiid's playing. I mean, he's still playing limited minutes, but I've actually never seen a team, and in Embiid's case, a particular player, in one game go from supremely mediocre to exceptional within the same game. Uh, Last night, the Sixers didn't beat the Boston Celtics. They crushed them. They crushed them. It was a spirit crushing game. And I think the Sixers are going to take this series based on that game. Uh,
Yeah.
Embiid had a horrible first quarter. He looked terrible. He looked slow. He looked out of shape. Everybody else looked kind of lethargic. The kids trying their best. Paul George looked okay. And then all of a sudden, I'm watching the second half of this game, and Paul George looks like Paul George.
Yeah.
Embiid looks dominant. Maxey and Edgecombe are just flying at Kelly Oubre. They're all flying all over the place, stealing balls from people. Like, it's a team that you've been begging for with
Yeah.
this roster. Like, this roster
Yeah.
should be doing those things, and they just haven't been.
But yeah, I think that's kind of what we envisioned when they acquired Paul George when he first became a Sixer. And then sometimes you just, I don't want to say get lucky, but like Edgecombe has been just a gem, right? Like he's having a great rookie year. And then for me, like, I mean, I used to love watching Allen Iverson, and Tyrese Maxey just plays with such a joy and he's such a great player.
Yeah.
And I think, in game seven, anything can happen, but it's going to come down to, can our big three or can our stars outperform their stars, right? And then you also have a role player here and there that might play a big role. But it's game seven. It's in Boston. It's Andrew Toney, Nick, who's on that 76er NBA title team. They called him the Boston Strangler for a reason. And he ever forgot that he got that nickname because he just absolutely killed the Celtics, and specifically in a game seven. So, and we talk about Embiid, and I know, Nick, once upon a time, and I don't know how you still feel, but I know you on this podcast you mentioned they should have traded Embiid, but it's playoff games and game sevens where your legacy really becomes something, and as much as maybe Embiid has frustrated fans over the years or not, if they could win this game seven, and if he could take them on a run, that's why Allen Iverson's such a legend in this town, partly because, yes, he was a great player and all that, but I mean, he basically took that 2001 team on his shoulders, hop on my back, boys, and they went to the finals. I mean, that's what we're looking at here. It's a game seven where legacies could be defined
Yeah, listen, I hope I'm wrong.
or
Like, I
jobs
hope
to be lost.
I hope this team wins the whole damn thing this year, and I can say, "Oh, what an asshole I was talking about trading Embiid. What a mistake that would have been. Oh my god." I hope I'm doing that. In a
Yeah.
few weeks, I hope I'm talking like that. I don't think I am. I really think that you could have gotten a haul for Embiid with a lot of nice young talent and still been on the road that you're on. That being said, if he's going to play like a dominant center like he needs to, that he can, and if he's finally healthy, I think that's what I want. Right? Obviously, it's what we all want, and it can lead this team to a lot of wins. I think it's kind of tough when you have a guy that's as big as he is. You're gonna sustain injuries, and
Yeah.
yeah, yes, it's unfair for us as a fan base to be like, well, oh, he's always hurt. Yeah, well, yeah, because he got hurt. Like, he doesn't want to be hurt. He wants to play. He seems like he's a competitor. He wants to win. So this is another team that I'm cautiously optimistic. Actually, I know they're going to beat the Celtics because the Celtics were utterly, like, the looks in their eyes was of just quiet desperation, like like married men. Like,
Right.
they were just, oh, just kill me, just make this end. And the Sixers are going to make it end. They're going to make it end tomorrow night.
Well, the only thing I'll say is I believe, again, they haven't beaten the Celtics since '82. They're 0-20 against the Celtics in the playoffs. But I do think if they could get off to a good start, that's gonna be everything because again, like the Celtics, they've lost 2 games in a row. They're in danger of blowing a 3-1 lead. And it's going to be imperative for the Sixers to get off to a good start. And I do love the mindset of what Embiid said after Game 6, where he basically said, "I'm sick of losing to these guys. Like I'm sick of losing to these guys." And yeah, we'll see what happens in Game 7, and hopefully, hopefully they could have a parade like 1983. When the Sixers lost to the Lakers, Nick, they lost to the Lakers in '82 in the finals, and then basically, it was either Dr. J or Moses Malone basically got a billboard out and said, "Hey, Philadelphia, like, we owe you one. We owe you one because they lost to the Lakers in '80, they lost to the Lakers in '82." And then finally and with all due, I mean, I was a year old, I was 1 year old, but they won the title in '83. So, but again, that team was almost like, unlike the Flyers, that Sixer team was almost like, or the pressure was on to get back to the finals, and they sealed the deal, and they went. It was talking about great playoff runs. I don't they lost one playoff game that whole series, so that whole playoff run in
Yeah,
'83.
I
So
think you're kind of right about the Sixers team is that I think there is a lot more pressure on this Sixers team than there is on this Flyers team. They're at the
oh,
same point.
absolutely,
They're really at the same
yes,
point. The Sixers win tomorrow night. They're at the same level, right? Second round of the playoffs,
yeah,
exceeding expectations on the year, but this Sixers team has their Eric Lindros. They have Joel Embiid, and they should have
yes,
won already, and they didn't. So pressure's on. Yeah, they really have to do it, and they have to do it pretty quickly.
yeah. And Nick, I'm again, I think that the Sixers, like, with the Iverson error, they at least got to the finals. With it, with Embiid so far, and with the so-called process, like, they haven't even reached, conference finals, and I go back to my favorite Sixer of all time is Charles Barkley, and I could year after year, it was the Sixers with Barkley and Hersey Hawkins and Dawkins and Jaminski, and Jimmy Lynam was the coach, and, they'd always win that first round game, that first round series, and then they would always run into Michael Jordan and the Bulls.
Right.
And this was even before Jordan was winning the titles with the Bulls, but like they would run into Jordan and those Bulls teams, and they would lose. And so like in the East, you look at this year, and come on, to me, it's a wide open East. I mean, if you can get by the Celtics, there's no Michael Jordan in the East this year. You know what I'm saying? There's no standout front runner. Like I'll make the case maybe in the West, you got Oklahoma City, obviously. They're in the Spurs, but the East is pretty wide open. If they can knock out the Celtics, they could absolutely make a run because there's really no clear cut favorite in the East, is the way I see it.
Well, I like that information. That's what I want. I want them to steamroll all the way through this thing, but they have to win a championship. They have to. They did.
Yeah,
They just
yeah,
did. There's no more of this process nonsense. The process is over and it failed. Now you
right.
have to win a championship based on regular team building in basketball.
Well, it doesn't fail if you win a title, right? I mean, it's still wait and see, but you gotta at the very least just get me to the finals. Like just get me to the finals. And this team is more talented than I would even say the Allen Iverson team. It was kind of like that Iverson team in '01. It was like Allen Iverson and the band. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah, right.
um, but, this team, I mean, you got, Embiid when healthy, and you got Edgecombe, and you got Tyrese Maxey. I love Tyrese Maxey and Paul George, and so they got some players. They have a coach. They have a coach who's already won a title. Uh, so the pressure is certainly on, and we'll see what happens on Saturday and Game 7, and hopefully they're still playing when we talk next week.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Uh,
Um,
that Go ahead.
you're gonna make me talk about baseball now, aren't you?
Well, I mean, they fired Rob Thompson.
Yeah.
Don Mattingly, I was already not. I was surprised already that not the fact that Mattingly's the interim manager, but I was actually surprised that Dave Dombrowski, who was formerly the GM and won a championship in Boston with the Red Sox, reached out to Alex Cora, who was just fired from the Red Sox, and they obviously have a relationship. And Cora turned them down. So we'll see what happens in the offseason. But where do you see the Phillies now with Don Mattingly, and where are you kind of with them right now?
Well, you know what? the Phillies did something that um, turns me off 100%. And I don't know if it was you or Brian last time we talked, as you guys mentioned, they're just in their own heads.
Mhm.
I don't accept. Now that might be true, but I don't accept them telling me this. Now I know these guys get in locker rooms and they have to answer some stupid questions from the media. I know they have to answer the same question over and over, and they're trying to think of another way to spin something to say it to really just get out of it. Nobody wants to talk to the media, especially when you're losing. But to tell me, to tell the fans that you're in your own heads is the most insulting thing you can do because
Mhm.
we're watching you play a game to escape our depressing, hard work filled lives.
Right.
I don't want to hear about your feelings and how sad you are and I hate this town and we're in our heads. I don't want to hear any of that. Shut up. Shut up. Get better. Or come out and just be like, hey, I really suck today. And I don't care if you have to say that for weeks on end. We suck
Yeah.
today. We suck today.
Yeah.
We're working on it, but we were terrible. D- I'll take
Right.
that because I can agree. I can be like,
Yeah.
yeah, you were awful. I just these feelings laden, pity seeking excuses make me vehemently angry. So this team can
Well,
suck it. I don't care that they won 3 straight. You fire a manager, everybody's on edge. I understand that part. Uh,
right.
they can suck it. I don't care. I don't care what they do anymore. You
Right.
don't tell me you're in your feelings. Don't. I don't care.
Well,
That's not
if
for me. Not when I'm paying $30 a day to come park at your stadium, not when I'm spending hundreds of
right.
dollars a ticket for you to then cancel a game because of some rain and not give me my money back for parking so your team can go to the Sixers game or the Flyers game. Absolutely suck it. You know what? Fuck the Phillies. I, I've had it. They're a horribly run organization. Wow. I can't believe you
Well,
even
I'll
got me
say
going, Gary. I think you weren't expecting that.
I will say this. You made a good point when you said, "Hey, there's nothing wrong with saying to the media we did not play well today." And that was the 93 Phillies, right? Like the 93 Phillies who went to the World Series, who lost to the Blue Jays. And the town loved that team, because it was so many personalities on that team. And when they played horrible, they admitted it.
Yeah.
But the fact that you're saying that these guys are saying, "Hey, we're in our own heads," that doesn't give me much confidence for a postseason run. You know what I'm saying? Like, even if you are in your own heads, you never want to admit that publicly because the opponent already knows they're already up 1-0. They're already up 1-0. They're already up 7-0 in football before they even get to the stadium,
Yep.
right? So, um, hopefully, they could. Hopefully, the new manager could kind of jumpstart them. I always kind of wonder how much, and I'm sure there's history out there, but I wonder when you fire a coach in season and replace him with somebody. I always kind of felt like if you're going to fire a coach, you do it at the end of the season. I don't know when you do it in season how much that really accomplishes, but maybe that'll give them a jump start and make a run. But baseball's a long season.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like yeah, it's a long season. But if they don't play October baseball, if they don't make the playoffs, then you look at the slow start. That slow
Yeah.
start's going to cost you.
Yeah. I mean, baseball's different than football. Like, I wouldn't fire a coach midseason in a football season because, you know, stuff can happen where you're like, oh,
Yeah,
we can make the playoffs if we do this and this and this.
yeah.
If
There's 17
something's
games.
if something's not working, you can't keep having it not work and expect it to start working. Like, it's like driving a car down the road and it's puttering. You got to get rid of this car and get a new car. You have to get a new engine in your car because this engine is broken. You're never going to make it to work. You're never going to make it to your destination if if the engine of your car doesn't work. So tires can turn, the brakes might work, but the engine's not running. You got a problem. So in in baseball, in hockey, I think football might be the only one. And it's only because there's just a limited number of games and a super limited numbers of guys that can be a head football coach for your team.
So, Nick, not that I want to go back to the Flyers here, but you mentioned the engine. So, like, who's the engine for the Flyers in your eyes?
Well, I think the head coach is your engine for any team. So I think Rick Tockett's the engine, and he's powering all the other parts, whether it's through strategy, whether it's through, personal attention. Like as a coach, you treat certain players certain ways based on their personality. And while that doesn't seem fair at first, at first glance, some guys really respond well to you grabbing them by the collar and screaming in their face, right? It
Mhm.
wakes them up and they know they need
Right.
it. Other guys do not respond to that, so you can't do that. You have to take them aside and tell them one on
Yeah.
one what you want. So I think your head coach is always the engine of your vehicle. And there's a lot of other moving parts, right? Some parts are super necessary, right? Wheels, right? Doors, very essential, right? Not as essential, windshield wiper fluid. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you need it, but like you don't need it all the time, right? Those are like trainers and your skate replacement guy. But no, Rick Tocchet is the engine making this thing hum because a lot of these guys were already here. You can have all the talent in the world if you don't have good coaching, you will not win.
And how would you kind of give me a grade, if you will, for the Flyers front office, specifically, I guess, Keith Jones, right? He's the general manager,
Yeah,
former player?
I'm telling you, to come off to get to the playoffs, coming off the Olympic break, to get where they are, to have the young talent that they've gotten and who have turned out, I mean, who have proven themselves already to be their, worth their weight. Uh, he's got A minus, B plus, somewhere in there,
Yeah.
right? I mean, he's not lighting the world
I
on
al
fire, right? He didn't go reincarnate Wayne Gretzky and bring him to the team, but
Right.
he killed it. He put together a hell of a team that can grow. That like they don't win. Let's say they bomb out this next series, right? They put everything out there against the Penguins. I'm going to be happy with that. I'll appreciate that because I hate the Penguins. I I see this team continuing to grow, and if they keep bringing in talent like this and coaching like this, you're gonna have a playoff team for years, which is super
I
exciting to
always
actually
loved
care.
Yeah. No, I always loved him as a commentator and even watching him as a player. Obviously he wasn't talented as a Lindros or Leclerc or Renberg, but like I appreciated watching him as a player, and I really hope he kills it as a GM. And we talk about players, and that takes us to the team. To find the football team that plays at Lincoln Financial Field.
I know them.
Nick, you were in Vegas, obviously, but I just kind of first I want to get your thoughts on the draft. What do you think? What kind of stuck out to you?
Well, first of all, I land in for Kelly was texting me. I guess American Airlines has like a text only Wi-Fi, which I don't trust. I don't think they're being honest with you. I think you can probably use the internet while you're on a plane and it won't hurt anything. But I digress. She's sending me the pics and Cullen too, and I was disappointed to see Ty Simpson not go at number 2. I was really rooting for Adam and his position as draft expert, but, uh, I was I was happy to see him go mid-first round to a really
Mhm.
stupid Rams team because I don't think he's a good Matt Stafford replacement. Uh, so I think that was a bad move on their part, but it's great for everybody else. Uh, as far as the Eagles draft, I thought it was good. Like I heard you mentioned like, yeah, you got to wait 4 years to find out if it's good. They saw a very special player in Makai Lemon fall and were able to, um, for real minimal cost, jump up and grab him, knowing that he's
Right.
going to be a star. I still stand by the fact that AJ Brown is a Philadelphia Eagle this coming season, and I'll tell you why. Makai Lemon strikes me as a guy that could go to a football team and start right away and put up good numbers and have a good year and get into a lot of trouble. But if he's working with established players like AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, even Hollywood Brown to an extent, you can learn. These guys have all made the mistakes that you're going to make. You can learn from them ahead of time and not do it. Then he can learn from a guy like AJ Brown how to play that middle of the field and Devontae Smith, really. I think they keep a big wide receiver room this year. Like, I think they keep an extra wide receiver on the field on Sundays as opposed to an extra running back or an extra offensive lineman. And these guys are going to work with this. AJ Brown's an Eagle this year. That's it. I'm not changing my story. I'm sticking to it. Now, that being said, I think the pick is good. I was
Mhm.
really happy to see them take that Stover, the tight end. I love that
Yep.
pick. Um,
Yep.
I don't care if they sign Zach Ertz back for a year. I really don't. I don't know what you would do with
Yeah,
8
that's
tight
not
ends.
gonna
No,
happen.
that's too many tight ends.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
I I liked some of the later picks. I love what you did in the third round with Grenard. I love it. I've been talking about that guy for
Yes.
weeks. I
Yeah.
love that move. You fleeced Minnesota. Absolutely fleeced them. That whole team played poorly last year. So the fact that this guy had a down year last year after 2 Pro Bowl years, he's going to go right back to kind working next to Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Moro Jomo. He's going to be fine, and he's going to establish that outside that what am I trying to say? I know the words. Whatever. He's gonna create he's gonna create containment.
They're gonna get after
Woo!
the quarterback.
And he's gonna get after the
Yeah.
quarterback. Yeah. He's gonna give
Yeah.
pressure. And even if he doesn't give pressure, you've got Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis and Moro Jomo that are gonna rotate through and create pressure. That is to give up what was a third round this year and a third round next year?
Yeah,
That is
a
that
third
is
this year and a third next year.
that is absolute robbery on the part of Howie Roseman.
Well,
Absolute robbery.
So, yeah, I like the lemon pick. We won't get deep into it, but I'll say this, Nick. They're gonna lose AJ Brown. If AJ, I'll tell you what, Nick, if AJ Brown ends up playing this year, if he ends up playing this year, I'll send you an AJ Brown jersey. How about that? I'll buy you an AJ Brown jersey or shirt, whatever. But they're gonna something to think about. We can put something on it.
Yeah.
But they're gonna lose AJ Brown. Um, and the reason, two reasons. Number one, I think that's why they kind of drafted Lemon, because they know they're going to lose AJ Brown. The other thing is they're not that it's mandatory, it's voluntary, but at their mini camp right now or workouts, AJ Brown wasn't there. They're gonna lose AJ Brown. Now, with the Lemon pick, I liked you mentioned about Ty Simpson. Um, in a lot of mocks and leading up to the draft, a lot of people think that the Rams were going to take Lemon. So when the Rams took the quarterback in Simpson, who because I do like Sean McVay, and I got to give Nick Sirianni credit because Nick Sirianni has beaten Sean McVay multiple times, even though I think Sean McVay is a great coach. But when they took Ty Simpson, that kind of I thought put the draft in a little bit of flux because I thought they were going to take the wide receiver out of USC, Lemon. I think it's a good pick for the Eagles. Like you said, I think the trade for Bernard is fantastic. I read this morning from Tommy Lawler that the Grenard's going to get paid, I think, $6 million this year from the Eagles, opposed to Jaden. I think Jaden Phillips is going to get paid around $36 million.
Yep.
So that's Howie doing Howie things and being smart with the cap. That's what Howie does. It is still Howie's season. As far as AJ Brown, when he gets traded, I'm just curious to see what that compensation is going to look like. The tight end from Vanderbilt. The more I read on him and I heard his press conference, the one thing I like about this guy, Nick, he's going to play tight end. Obviously, he's got physical traits and they'll work on the blocking. But he had experience at one time playing quarterback. And I love tight ends and receivers who kind of have that background of playing quarterback once upon a time, because I kind of feel like they could read coverages, they could read the soft spots and the zones. I just think if you have that experience or that background, whether you were a high school quarterback or whatever, I think that just kind of really helps you. In dissecting the defense when you're game studying, when you're running your routes. So I love that. And look, you said Zach Ertz. I mean, the Eagles have been very good. They've been very good. They took Zach Ertz in the second round. They took Goddard in the second round. So they followed it up with this tight end out of Vanderbilt, who has a really good relationship with Jordan Matthews, former Eagle, who's also a second round pick. The the offensive lineman, we'll see in the third round. He's a big guy, and I'm curious to see what that offensive line coach, what the new coach is going to kind of do with them. I'm curious. I would love to see if they even tried him at guard. Like he's such a big dude. Like I don't think he'll play guard, but maybe he could be kind of a Becton 2.0. I mean, there's certainly things they like about him because he's a third round pick, Nick. So at some point, like you're a third round pick, I'm not saying you got to start this year per se, but he better be a starter at some point, kind of like a Jalen Hunt. I mean, I know you're a big Jalen Hunt fan, right? Like
Absolutely.
we see the production that we're getting out of Jalen Hunt. Um, the quarterback, they took that quarterback out of North Dakota State.
Yeah, Cole
And
Payton.
we'll see with him. Maybe he's kind of like a package guy. I didn't really understand that pick, but we'll see what they have in mind.
I understand that pick. He's a dual threat quarterback. He's like, what is he, like 6'3", 230 pounds.
Yes.
He's a really fun quarterback to watch. It's a good project for them, and it gives you the ability to say, oh, somebody gets hurt in training camp. You want our backup quarterback? Okay, he's for sale. Send him. You know what I mean? Like
Okay.
that's okay. I think that's great. I think we all joke around like, oh, quarterback factory. Well, that's what this is. You bring the guy in, you develop. Brian said it. You develop him, you ship him off for a third round pick, and you took a 6th round pick, turn him into a third round pick. So I think it's great.
You think, assuming he makes that opening day roster, can you see maybe situations where, say, like goal line packages, right? Where maybe they're even running him a little bit in goal line packages, or they got certain packages for him?
I don't.
Or do you think he gets like a redshirt year?
I think he definitely gets a redshirt year. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. I love these two African players they picked up. This Uwar Bernard, the guy, I forget, he's Kenyan or Nigerian.
Yeah, I think he's from Nigeria, and they're gonna play him at they're gonna play him at defensive end. He's got identical numbers to Myles Garrett coming out of the combine.
So I actually love this because you look at a guy like
I love it too.
Jordan Mailata, never played a snap of football, comes in, all of a sudden, he's a Pro Bowler, right?
Yeah.
Like in this town, he's an Eagles Hall of Famer, but like I mean, this pathway program already got us that guy. I love that they bring these guys in because Eagles bring in like 700 undrafted free agents, and then the other guy they got there, I saw some clips of them. They're just athletically insane. Like if they have any brains to them and can learn the sport, cool. And you put them in positions that don't require as much study. Now,
Right, correct.
like bear with me, but I think a linebacker and a wide receiver require a ton of study, routes and packages and different things. And linebackers are calling plays. A guard on the offensive line, he's got to be big first, and then he can do other stuff. Then he could do a guard pull or trap. So I don't think I think bringing these guys in as defensive tackles, DNs, guards, tackles, I think that's an incredible idea.
Yeah, no, see ball, get ball.
Yep.
No, I love those. I love those two picks. And then obviously you mentioned the other guy that they got as an undrafted free agent. They also, and it's kind of interesting just to watch in the rookie camp and maybe even in preseason, Nick. I don't think he's going to make the team. But Adam did bring this to my attention earlier this week. They signed, because I've kind of pounded the table. I thought that Jake Elliott needed a little bit of competition.
Yeah.
They did sign a kicker / punter from Northwestern, who is actually it's David Akers' son. Now again, I don't think he's going to make the team. They're going to try him a punter. I think basically they want to just get him on video because they have their punter, and they just gave him an extension, so they really like him. But it'll be interesting to kind of watch him.
Man was like the best punter in the league last year.
Yeah, right.
If you want to bring in Akers' kid, bring him in, but just he's the place kicker. Then that's it. Whatever.
We'll see. I think obviously, as you said, man's the best punter in the league. I think that they want to just kind of look at this kid. So, and they're bringing him in obviously for the rookie minicamp, and maybe we'll see if he latches into the preseason, because I don't think they want man really kicking a ton. They already know. It's kind of like Devontae Smith, right? You already know what you're getting with that guy, so there's no reason to run 100 routes in the preseason.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Maybe maybe he impresses a little bit. And I'm curious to see how Jake Elliott bounces back. So look, I thought overall it was a good draft, and I'm looking forward to once they get on the field in the mini camps, hearing how they're doing in the mini camps, and just kind of watching them closely, throughout the summer.
Now
And
listen, they did one thing very late, and that was address the safety position with this kid out of Northwestern.
yeah, Texas Tech. Texas Tech. Yeah, I'll tell you what, man, that's probably still my criticism. I was pounding the table that they needed to address safety. Now, I will say this, Nick. Um, I have the utmost confidence in I'll call him Uncle Vic Fangio. I have the utmost confidence in Fangio, that he's got a plan, and so either he's got a plan at safety that he feels good about, or Howie Roseman says, "Hey Vic, just let you know, man, we're not done here yet. I got another something up my sleeve." Because I still don't feel good about the safety room. This guy here, from what I've been heard, and I was listening to a couple things today. There's a lot to like here, but his weakness is kind of like range. And I heard that on the Inside the Birds podcast, another great podcast like ours.
That's right.
But we'll see. He's a special teamer. He's definitely a special teamer, and there's so much to like about this kid. But the one weakness seems to be, Greg Cosell said, the one that seems to be his range. So we'll see there. Again, I wish they would have addressed at safety much earlier in the draft. But we know this, right? They made a trade for CJ Gardner-Johnson right before the season. Years ago, and this is going way back, but they made a trade for Dante Stallworth right before the season. So Howie Roseman has always said they're looking to improve the roster, and we'll see what they do at safety.
Well, listen, when CJGJ is on the Eagles, you win Super Bowls, or you go to the Super Bowl. And when he's not here, you do not. So maybe we go ahead and make a phone call. Now the draft is over. You know what you got. Just about everybody signed that you need signed from the draft. Come on, Howie, light my fire. You know what I mean?
And they re-signed him. I love Marcus Epps, the safety. They got Marcus Epps, but to me, he's like the perfect third safety, kind of like in baseball, right? He's your perfect third starter. I just like him better as a third versus a two. So, we'll see what they do. We'll see what they do at safety. They have the rookie mini camp coming up, and then their mandatory mini camp is June 9th. So we'll see if AJ Brown is on the team at that mandatory camp June 9th. He's say yes. I say no. He'll be out of there before June 9th, and then we'll kind of go from there.
Let's go from there. June 9th.
Let's go from there.
A little over a month away, but we got a ton to talk about next week. We'll catch back up about the Sixers and the Flyers, and I don't know. If you really want to talk about the Phillies, I don't know. Rather talk about home improvements than talk about the Phillies, and I don't want to talk about home.
I could go watch my 1980 Philadelphia Phillies highlight tape.
I'd rather get
when they won the World Series in 1980.
I'd rather get back on my flight from Vegas to Chicago, where the woman next to me was telling me about her Fish concert experience.
Okay,
that's a story for next time.
A lot. That says a lot.
It was not great.
All right,
Gav. Hey, go Birds! Let's go Flyers! Let's go root for the 10.
Do we know when that Flyer series is going to start?
It's going to be sometime this coming week. They said between the 6th and the 8th, so Wednesday to Friday, somewhere in there it'll start. Okay. But the Sixers are going to be on tomorrow night, so we got to go root on the 10-9-8 76ers. Sorry, Brian, but you got to get on board. Garrett, get in the text thread. Everybody get in the comments. Tell Brian to get on board with the Sixers. They're not losers. They're winners. They're going to beat the Celtics. All right, get on. Like, subscribe, follow, whatever you have to do. Find us on Instagram. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Go Birds, they kid.